He's gonna talk, or is this gonna be like an episode?
Well, just start recording, so it's an episode. All right.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Information Paradise podcast. Today we have a quadruple session here. We have, of course, Connor Pogue and Jurrian Sitchin, and we have Chris as well, a new guy. He's part of this this awesome thing. I was at 10. There's 10 people there. Anyway, online, and we're going to talk about spiral dynamics.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. How are we all doing then?
Good. Yeah. Got a new background. Okay.
Yeah. So. So yeah.
All right. So I'm good. What are we talking about, spiral dynamics wise?
To be honest, there's no plan here. Like, I haven't planned anything. There's supposed to be TJ as well. We're going to talk about racism, but I don't see it. Yeah. Okay. Spiral dynamics. What's important about it? Why should people know about it? Should they? What even is it? It's like a model.
I mean, I think people should definitely know about spiral dynamics. Ultimately, it's a lens that people can use to understand each other better. I think that's one of the bigger difficulties that people these days have, is that they don't understand why others act the way they do, and so they think that everything everyone around them is doing is somewhat crazy. Yeah. Why are they acting this way? And spiral dynamics really clears that up.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah.
So if you're like on the higher end of the spiral, you'll like be interested in spiral dynamics. But if you try to like talk about spiral dynamics to like lower stages, they'll just like turn their head. They won't really want to be into this kind of stuff.
I think the thing is this is going to lead to like a more peaceful world. That's what Chris, I think, was saying.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What are you going to say, Chris?
I'm not sure it's necessarily true that someone that happens to be in a stage that's lower on the spiral wouldn't necessarily resonate with this. I think, I'm sure you're talking specifically about tier 1, because tier 1 has like that issue of not really understanding what the people around them are doing. But I think, this has already been used as an educational tool to try to move people out of apartheid in South Africa. So we've already seen success in a larger mass of people using this framework. And just given the sample size of people alone, you have to pretty much guarantee that the vast majority, over 90% of those people, are likely below stage 7, right? In the first 6 stages, where people have the difficulty of not really understanding the other stages around them as well.
Cool.
So then in conclusion?
I think that, it doesn't really matter where you stand you in the spiral. You can understand it. You can get a better idea of what's happening around you. I think if anything, it helps you kind of accelerate yourself and move yourself up into a position where you can maybe, have a better chance of hitting tier 2, stage 7, of just getting that flow in and out of different stages better.
Yeah. Like I had a conversation with Connor about this earlier. I think he was the one that said it, that generally people from the first tier are not so much interested, it seems, in the spiral dynamics. And
I think it's just really attractive to tier 2.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you have someone and this person has maybe like a couple of spots of yellow already, then they're quite high. It's highly likely to resonate with them, I feel like.
But also, like, you don't have to say like spiral dynamics. You can just like talk spiral dynamics talk, but don't mention the actual model itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like
true,
an undercover way of doing things.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Teaching-
use all these colors and stuff like that if they're below the certain threshold of understanding this model, if you want to say that. But
It's quite-
Chris, talk about the things like the examples that they've done over around the world. I'm actually really interested in that.
I mean, that's a great question. I'm not sure how much I can actually speak on that. I just know that South Africa was a really big one, mostly because when using the model to teach apartheid, that's when they actually came up with the colors and really thoroughly refined the model and made it what it is today. So it became a completely different beast by having to apply it to a larger group of people.
Yeah, I remember there was the Spiral Dynamics audiobook on audible.com, and that is a really good like complementary book to the actual book. And he said, I think it was like either Beck or Cohen, one of them took like 80 trips over to South Africa or something like that when they were developing this whole thing.
Holy shit. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, so they're really working in South Africa, or just Africa, I think. I'm not 100%.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
So what could we apply this to today? That worked in South Africa to an extent. There's many different things, isn't there, you can apply it to.
I think one of the large issues that people are seeing today is a large political divide, and that's kind of becoming more and more apparent in just about every country. It's fairly universal, and it's been a long time since we've had a major crisis. Like there hasn't been a world war in forever. It's really been quite a while. So people are kind of settling into the normal that things are always peaceful around them and not really working to prevent conflict as much. I think spiral dynamics comes into play when you have such a political divide and you really need to explain to people why why someone would be aligned with a political party, because ultimately when you're looking at it from the inside and you're stuck in your party and you don't really you can't really understand why someone else would do everything that you don't stand for is what they're doing with their life, and you don't know why they're such a to you bad person, why they would go those ways. Spiral dynamics explains that viewpoint a lot better and can really call out what issues you may be having in your party and what issues they may be having in theirs, and how you can find a common ground, because I think ultimately all of us do want the same thing.
What is it? Is it happiness?
I mean, that's a big part of it. I think peace and prosperity are good ones. Not to sound too Star Trek-y here, but I mean, people want to survive. That's a huge drive that everyone just has, and once survival is taken care of, they want to live a good life. So people might have a different idea of what will bring them happiness, but ultimately, that is what people are pursuing.
Yeah, it's like the when you go up a spiral or go up any levels or down any levels, what brings you happiness changes. Yeah.
Let's go from beige to turquoise and like think about what they are. So like beige, it's just I have a roof over my head. I'm having sex. I've got food. That's happiness. I'm good. Like I can get to the next day. I've got a bridge to sit under. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Beige is like relatively simple.
You're happy when you're not afraid.
Wow. The one liner.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I suppose everyone kind of is as well. But yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever applies to beige is going to apply to everyone, because that's kind of the foundation there, right? Everyone's built up upon that.
Wow, man. The yogi has a bit of caveman in him. You right? Yeah. Yeah. So, what's next? Purple. So, like, what's happy there? Like, tribe life. Dude, I was just talking to my friend. He came over today, called James. We had a tribe back in the day. It was like in a jungle smoking weed, right? Our tribe. That's happiness. But purple. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, purple is really interesting because the more I learn about like turquoise, the more I also learn about purple. So it's like they're pretty related, but not the same. You know, there's aspects that are similar, but they're also different. That was just
Family,
something I thought.
I feel like also
Family, yeah.
in purple,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
like the idea of a group.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah, purple feels secure in their group, and you know, whatever their tribe is, if that's their closest friends or if that's their family, that's who they want to be with.
Yeah. And like money doesn't matter really. Money doesn't matter to the tribe guy. Yeah. So next, red. You know, power. Power's happiness. Get my happiness from power, or I get at least like a feeling of relief, maybe. What do you guys think?
Individuality, I think, is really important.
Whoa.
I think, you know, red goes out and wants to express themselves. I mean, coming from a purple perspective, they've been part of this group, and they've moved into red because they've seen that the issue is that they are blending into this group and not expressing themselves in any way, right? So they want to go out, they want to conquer the world, they want to, you know, be a burning flame out there. And so, you know, going out and doing like high energy things like getting on a roller coaster or something active, that's what's gonna make them happy.
That's the same similar transition, like from blue to orange, and then also sort of from green to yellow as well, right? Yeah, I love that shit. Cool.
Yeah, it's important to always keep like the dichotomy in mind that you know, all the cold colors are group focus and all the warm colors are an individual focus. So you know, when you're looking at beige, all the red colors all the warm colors that build up upon that, like red, orange, and yellow, they're all just evolving that model that beige has built out for them. And the same thing with purple. It's kind of the foundation. That's why I think purple and turquoise, for example, resonate so well with each other, because purple is kind of the foundation, and then blue builds on top of that, green builds on top of that, and turquoise builds on top of that one. And it just fleshes out this stack of ideas. And they're always moving back and forth, because if you were to move too far into one direction, you get into the extremes, and when you get into, you know, extremism is always ultimately some kind of downside, some kind of bad thing. You know, you have to make up for where your ideas are lacking by kind of moving over to the opposite side of the spectrum. So you always have this back and forth.
Like constant growth.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I like the idea that it's a spiral, so that it moves back, like it comes back on the same spots, but just on a higher elevation, let's say.
Wow. Holy shit. But it is like going like that, but when you go out and raise it, you get a spiral.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys know about the hero's journey?
Yeah, of course.
It's like a circle, but spiral dynamics is like a spiral, so it's like they're kind of related in a way.
Yeah.
It's like you go through one hero's journey and then you complete it, and then you start a new one on the next level, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
We should get a graphic. If anyone's got like a graphic design artist, whatever, video artist, dude, imagine like getting that graphic. And then we could do like little annotations. When you're here, when you're at the edge of the spiral, you're gonna feel, I feel a bit on the extreme. I'm gonna have to sort of go back. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you ultimately see those like unhealthy expressions of each color, right? Like with purple, for example, if you're like leaning way too far over to purple, you're likely ending up in like a cult situation or something where your individuality, like you as a person, is being completely forgotten about, so that something better happens to the group. And that could mean that, like, you know, someone who's way far into purple would sacrifice their life for the group, but you know, they themselves have nothing to gain out of it, and the group's hurt because each member of the group is the group.
Wow.
So when it comes to, for example, housing, let's say, how would you guys think a turquoise society would look like? Like, what kind of buildings would it have? What would it all look like? I really wonder.
I spent some time on this, so I hope you didn't hear that. I just got a notification. I spent some time on it. So, like, first of all, in my mind, when I think of a yogic society or like a turquoise, just ashrams, little huts. But then, you know, I don't know. But that could be any color, couldn't it?
Well, yeah, it's, I can't really say anything for certain, but the thing I always keep remembering or like seeing when I read about turquoise is that like the words less equals more.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing more minimalistic. It wouldn't be like this big giant house. It'd be like a very like efficient house, maybe on the smaller side, well, like embedded within the ecosystem that it lives in.
Yeah.
I think efficient is a good word, because, you know, all of turquoise, what turquoise has is building on top of yellow, and the yellow part inside turquoise would want to be efficient. Like, that's what they would want to do. So what I think is they would have, I imagine turquoise building very modular. You know, they'll have an area plotted out for themselves and for their group, that they would designate to housing, that they would designate to food, that they would designate to, you know, whatever else they need, commerce, spirituality, whatever. And they would connect them. And then that model, they would just repeat for the next group and then connect the groups together. And they would just keep doing that until they have this almost internet-like setup of buildings. And, you know, I mean, turquoise isn't going to go out, is also going to go out of their way to designate areas for nature and, you know, non-human things, right? Because they're
Art
thinking
also,
of a larger picture.
I think art is also something that they would want to include. You guys know Ken Wilber?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So he has a very interesting house, and when you see his house, you can kind of see, you can see the turquoise. Let's say, like, he has like a normal orange house, but then he's decorated it in a way where it has, for example, it has like religious pieces everywhere, art pieces everywhere. It's very modern, very minimalistic. It's very interesting to see that for example, the houses start changing, the parks change, like your whole society, how it looks, what it feels like, it changes. Like, I saw some pictures on Instagram from the designer, Connor, David, maybe you guys saw it.
I saw it.
Of like the pink chairs and a lot of
Oh,
green, and it's just amazing. Like, truly amazing.
So I've got two things here. So first of all, the first thing is what's so we say, like, how we think changes what happens outside, right? So for a green person, we like to do, it changes, you know, our house looks different, right? Stuff like this, right? So what is the change from yellow to turquoise? For me, I would say it's like ego death, right? And realizing that one is one. There is no real separation except for imaginary separation. And it applies to all our egos, who we believe we are. So, I mean, that's just one, but that's a massive thing. Here's a little thing. So regarding housing and streets and stuff, think about a leaf. You know how leaves like that, I was looking at a leaf one day. I looked really deep into it, and I thought, wow, this is the most efficient way to get energy across this whole space.
Yeah.
Next time you look at a leaf, think about that. I've got Leonardo da Vinci.
Maybe the house of the turquoise being would have like the Fibonacci ratios in them. Maybe the pyramids are like an example of
also like imagine in the streets having meditation music on, binaural beats. Everyone's just chilling out there, walking, they're floating. Imagine that.
I don't know if that's how it would look. It's one of those things. I think people like to look at turquoise and think that turquoise is going to be this hyper spiritual stage in humanity. But I think by the time you're at a turquoise stage, spirituality looks like a very different thing to you. It's really inseparable from science. They've become one thing. So up until this point, when people are talking about spirituality, it's been this very mystical thing, and there's a lot of extra stuff that goes with it that is just kind of made up storytelling flavor that sounds good and no one can disprove it, or like things that aren't necessarily real finding their way into this story of what's happening with spirituality. I think someone who's at turquoise, and maybe this isn't exactly a turquoise thing, and maybe this is like a thing that solidifies after, but I think once you get to this stage, you're merging your science. So when we look at, for example, the chakra system that's very prevalent in many spiritual practices, right? You have 7 chakras throughout your body, and they all deal with certain things. You have your energy center in the solar plexus. You have like your root chakra that is blocked by fear, and et cetera, right? But when you take the scientific lens and look at those same things, you find the connection, what those chakras are actually represented as in the physical body. Each one of those chakras is lined up exactly with certain glands in your body that change the way you feel, change the way you function. They're all connected to your nervous network, just like just about everything else in your body. So you can feel them opening and closing and control them opening and closing, because your nervous system is just an extension of your brain. You have control over it. You just need to learn how to do it. I mean, every child has to learn how to move their limbs, but they have a visual feedback of that happening. With chakras, it's a bit more difficult because it's inside you. So, you get to the point where someone who understands how to manipulate their solar plexus has more control over their inner energy. But that's where the glands are that line up with your adrenaline, line up with your insulin. You have those hormones that are released throughout your body that regulate how much energy you have anyway. So it all makes perfect scientific sense. All the those symbols for chakras that have those petals around them, each petal count lines up really nicely with the amount of spinal columns in your spine that have the nerves leaving them and moving to those parts of your body that control those glands and those organs. And at that point, it's not a mystical thing anymore. You understand that there's no mystical energy moving through you. It's just bioelectricity moving through your nerves. Like, all of those things add up, make sense, and you don't have to add any extra stuff on top of it. So I think someone who is at that stage would be balanced and really in touch with their own self and with their body and how they function, but it wouldn't necessarily be spirituality to them anymore. It would be, I mean, it's just common knowledge, science. It's just, that's just how the world works.
Yeah.
They see like spirituality not as outside of themselves. They see that there is kind of only spirit, or you could say,
and it's not mystical. It's
not
just
mystical at all. No.
It's completely known and understood. And to the outside, some of the things they may do, I mean, if you don't know anything about meditation and you see someone meditating and you have only an association of meditation with something mystical, then you're going to think, yeah, they're doing some kind of weird religious mumbo jumbo. But I mean, in reality, you know, like we already have scientific proof that meditation can extend your mental health for years and years. It's just a fact.
Yeah. You guys know about Kirlian photography?
No.
It's like, I don't know how it works, but they basically can Photoshop or like take photos of, that's completely different. They take photos of like the aura around someone and they can see it, or like chakras, I think they can do too. But it's really cool. You just like Google search it and they have some really cool. Yeah, they can see like, you can see like a healthy aura and like an unhealthy aura, and the healthy aura is like completely balanced. Like if they took a picture of my hand and it was completely healthy, it would look like a perfect kind of fuzzy outline. But the unhealthy would be like missing a few, there might be holes or something in there. Yeah, it's really, and it's like scientific instruments, so it's like
interesting.
We got to put these resources in the chat. We'd have to do that.
Oh yeah,
remember to do that. Yeah. Another point about like electricity, so bioelectricity. What else is that but energy?
Right.
So, and like turquoise holism is holistic, the merging of science and spirituality. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, like guys like David Bohm, for example, great example. David Bohm, Nikola Tesla, I figure, also Einstein. I would say personally, these were also some point, like scientists, you know.
At some point, it doesn't even make sense to, you know, identify it as energy anymore, because everything is made up of energy. All the matter in your body, every atom, every quark that it breaks down to, is just, you know, some kind of entangled state of energy.
Let's talk about consciousness. So everyone, are you aware right now? Is anyone not aware here? Anyone not aware?
I'm not aware.
Put it in the comments if you're not aware, because okay. So we're all aware. How? Why? What is it?
Yeah, why?
Such a deep topic.
I think the question that it begs is aware of what, right?
This experience.
Aware of what? Like where this experience is happening, you mean?
Well,
aware of what?
The common assumption is, the common belief is that consciousness is created in the brain, by the brain. And so that all of this is happening in a limited space, and that the outside world is different, you know, and like there is an outside world. That's the belief. I'm in here behind my eyes somewhere. And but yeah, non-duality.
Yeah, you like that, though, David? You like non-duality? It's good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. So me and Jurrian like really into non-duality. What are you going to say, Connor? I mean, Chris.
I mean, we don't really know if there's an outside world, right? I mean, that's kind of the premise, and we're getting to a point with quantum physics, for example, where we're breaking down particles and realizing that they don't behave like we predicted they might.
Yeah.
And instead, it feels like we might actually be in some sort of hologram, you know, some sort of illusion that's been built up around us that isn't actually an outside reality.
Can I go off after your next point? I'm going to offer an explanation for that.
How about you go first, and I'll try a completely alternate explanation afterwards.
Okay. So like the illusion. So like it feels like there's an illusion around us, or whatever, or like we're in an illusion. What I would say is this is just thought. This is belief. So our raw experience, there are no lines around anything. There is no limit anywhere. It's literally just made out of belief. The belief that this is a toilet roll. Yeah, that this is David.
Yeah.
So,
I think belief is like a super important indicator of like how your reality functions. Like like the whole, like, I know this is like really cliche, but like when like Jesus was walking on the water or whatever, and one of his like disciples or whatever ran after, and like if you can see someone walking on water, that really changes your belief system about everything. And so like, and then he was able to walk on the water only when he believed fully. So it's just like another thing I thought of.
What are you going to say, Chris?
Like the Matrix. I think when you look at something like, let's take a chair, for example. We see a chair and we believe it's there, but there never is a chair. There never has been a chair. It's just what we believe exists in front of us. Sure, there's a collection of molecules intertwined in a certain way, but like no chair looks exactly the same. No chair is made out of the exact same materials. There is no perfect framework of what a chair is. It's just in our minds. It's the same with a lot of concepts around us, like it's like the value of money. Money wouldn't have a value if we didn't believe it was there. That's how physical objects around us. It's just how we relate to things we can interact with, and it's a simplified way for our brain to process things, and it makes it easy for us to interact with the outside world. If it wasn't for this oversimplification of what's happening around us, we would be completely incapable of interacting with it.
Yeah. Man, we would get so lost.
That's a good analogy. I really like that.
Yeah.
So this call is going to end in 3 minutes because of the limits.
Oh yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll put the link back in the chat, and then everyone should let it back. Done that. Yeah, 3 minutes. So,
all right.
One last thing, so when we're born, we automatically start to split the world up in our mind. Automatically, we keep doing that and doing that and doing that. So as to define things, I need to define the tiger, because otherwise I'm not going to run away from it and I'm going to die. I'm not going to run away from the tiger unless I define it.
Yeah. If the tiger stands right in front of you,
it'll just look like
you just have to define it.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just there's a shape and sound. But what we need to realize is that these limitations aren't actually real. We can look at this. Look at this.
I mean, I would say that the limitations are real. For sure, like there are limitations.
But they are mind-made, right?
Yeah.
Are you talking about spiral dynamics? Or are you talking, what kind of limitations are you referring to?
Any actually. So it could be even spiral dynamics.
I think some of them are emergent, right? We know we can't just walk through a wall because we've tried it. We've been there. But we've kind of experimented with these things. It's not that we built up the belief and then weren't able to do it, but we've built up the belief after not being able to do it. So some of the limitations are just kind of inherently there, even if we don't understand why.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I'd love to think more about that. Like, if we believe that we can, we actually imagine it and imagine that we're doing it. If we believe that more than this reality now, then we will actually experience that, right? So
I don't know.
Like, if I imagined like a pink elephant right now in my room, and I believed that like 100%, and I imagined it 100%, then I would be there.
It was kind of there, you could say, just in your head.
Yeah, in our head.
So the pink elephant, exactly how you imagined it. It should be there.
All right,
it depends on if you believe in an outside world or not, right? If everything's internal and you don't think that other people have their own outside worlds that are also true, then yeah, you can imagine an elephant there, and if you believe it hard enough, it manifests within your perception of reality.
Yeah.
And that's the only perception of reality that you have. but we don't know how
That's
true others people's realities are. And if there is more than one perspective, then at that point, different things are going to be real for different people.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,